Okay, so this is the Zoom tutorial that I'm finally following through on. The first thing I would say is ignore this picture. Um, just kidding. The first thing I would say is that if you're going to do a Zoom meeting as a facilitator, you would want to be closing any documents that you would not need for the meeting and opening up documents that you would utilize in place of the flip chart. So if you were going to open up an agenda document, then you would go ahead and get that opened, and you would make sure that this folder and any other folder that could have any other folder or document that could have other family specific information on it, you would need to make sure it's not just minimized, but that it's closed altogether, just to be safe. And then you can enter the next steps of life. So again, any documents that are open, no family specific documents that don't apply to the meeting that you're running. You would have emails closed, other things like that, so that we can avoid technology errors and all of that. If you needed a meeting that was going to be longer than 40 minutes without any interruption, because you can log back into meetings, extend your time, things like that on the free feature, you can let me know, and then I would schedule the meeting for you, send you the link, and when the meeting started, I would make sure that that I just removed myself, and you would have access to the room. And then when you joined the meeting, I would be able to see that you were entering, and I would automatically, I can't do this when I'm on here by myself, but I would be able to, once you entered the room and it loaded you, I would be able to click on the features next to your name, and I would be able to add you as a host, a co-host, and you would be able to take over the meeting features, and I would not have to be an active participant. For scheduling, the benefit of my feature is that I have the ability for everyone to also utilize the meeting call numbers, things of that sort. I always require a password because we are protecting families. So for me, I have recurring meetings so that I don't need to send out multiple links to these team members. So every family that I set up a link for, we would use the same link every time we were meeting. In order to do that, you would click recurring meeting, and for the recurring, you would put no fixed time, and it takes away all scheduling features, all time windows, all of that. With the 40-minute feature, I'm not sure if it just means that you could have the meeting anytime and then it's just 40 minutes as your allotment. I have no experience with the free feature because I have always needed to utilize Zoom for my personal business. But I have others who have experience, so if you have any questions about the free feature options, I can reach out to them and get questions answered. For passwords, I always do family identification twice. So if it was an RG meeting, it would be 441 441, just so that it stays consistent with the familiar. It stays familiar for the families and team members. It's numbers they've seen us use when we were still having all of our face-to-face activity. And then for me, I like to enable the waiting room. I like to be able to treat the meetings uniquely. I can add all team members at once, or if I want to be able to do a brief check-in with the family before I was including a system partner or something that would be an important action that we would do in meetings where it's, can we step out for a second? I just want to confirm your voice before we share this with the whole team. Any situation like that can happen with enabling the waiting room. And then you would just click save and all information would come up. And then it's stored for a lifetime. You're able to go in, copy invitation, gives a lot of information, and you can remove what information is irrelevant. So like, I don't need New York, I don't need Chicago. So you could delete anything when you copy and paste it into an email, things like that, to keep it simple. When I'm texting it to a family that I know is not accessing their email, in order to do that, I email it to myself. It will pop up on the phone, and then I have to click on the link and then copy the link once the browser opens, and then I can put it into a text message, and I can hit enter on the keypad and put password, and it looks very organized and simple for them to use. Something we have to keep in mind when we're scheduling these Zoom meetings is that for some families, they're using computer devices and things that are provided for the school base. And so it's easier for them if the links are sent to like the kids' school email address or things like that. So we just want to confirm the best place to send the link for them to access the Zoom app. It's best to try and coordinate with another workforce member to start the meeting 5 to 10 minutes early so that they can hop into the waiting room if you were choosing to use a waiting room and help test the features that would help you facilitate. So it would come up here. And if you missed it, it was fine because you can click on this. But a little icon pops up like how you see manage participants, if it's even letting you see this glare here. Blue light to blue light, never a good friend. But it will come up with a little box that announces who's in the waiting room. When you see down here, you can always click on this at any time. Participants would drop and waiting room would be above it. And you would be able to admit people one at a time, or there's an option that says admit all. So even if you saw, oh great, the family is here 15 minutes early, you could still leave them in the waiting room and only add me or anyone else that was a workforce member. And you would be able to just get set up. You can use the whiteboard if you want instead of having all documents. I think documents are best because it supports co-facilitation with the family, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But you would be able to go in and just choose the document that you want to be shared, click share, and you are good to go. Then this would be the first thing that they see when they come in. And again, because I'm the only one in here, it's a little complicated, but I wanted to do this first. And then if you want to test anything out or sample anything, we can schedule to do a Zoom call together where you can experience this at the same time. So you'll be able to see the icons of the team members on the side of everybody that's in the room. And then you would be able to just go through facilitating. They can see everywhere the cursor is, and they can see everything that's in front of them. You can open up plan documents, and if you want to confirm if they can see it, it would say it at the bottom, these icons. Any screen that doesn't have these icons, it means they can't see it. And you would be able to just go through, and it would be the plan document, and I would encourage typing on the document the same way you would if you were actually drafting the plan, but you can always revise it later, and it's just so much easier than having to interpret the flip chart and all of that, and you guide them through the activities. When it comes to co-facilitation, there is a feature, again, when there's another participant in here, there is a bar that is attached to this that would be next to the share feature. You would be able to click, and it would come down with a drop-down menu, and you would say that you could allow for remote access, which gives them permission to take over or to work with you on this document. So you would both be able to type and click onto this document. This screen would turn yellow and it's shared. And this is a feature that can be used for anything in the co-facilitation, including my, as a youth support partner, an ability to teach youth how to email and communicate with their whole team. I could open up the email, I could close all documents around that, and I could have, again, like protecting family identification, and I could have the youth be in there with me practicing inviting their entire team to a meeting if I wanted to. So again, I know it's hard because I don't have anybody in here with me, but if you would like to be able to actually practice this and see what I'm talking about, we can schedule a call together and I can talk you through it. When you're done wrapping up the meeting, you want to have more hands-on engagement with the team, you can stop share. It bounces right back into the meeting room and you can share your screen again at any time. So it can be on and off at any time. So you can literally have a document set up the way you would set up your flip chart, and you can have multiple documents open and saved on your computer. You can have one document that has a running list of the way you would do your flip chart and have it all spanned out, and then delete pages you wouldn't need to save the plan or save it separately, whatever you would want to do. There's a lot of creativity you could do on how you utilize Word, but there's a lot of options with how to utilize the screen share, how to navigate the participants in the meeting, and you can have quite a few team members involved. You also have features where, again, not all of my features show because not everyone's here, but when other participants are in here, you would be able, and here it talks about encryption because it's a password protected meeting, but you would be able to record if there was permission to record. You would be able to trying to remember off the top of my head exactly which feature it's in, but there is a option to mute all participants that are in the meeting. Oh, it's in here. So you'll be able to click mute all. Current and new participants would mute it. You can click yes. That's an option that I was saying, like if you need any support to be able to help with the experience of facilitation, you could do that. Sometimes it's too overwhelming to have the jump from participants that comes at the top of the screen where everybody talks and then they become the focus. So you would be able to click on the three dots that come up next to their picture, and it would say pin video. If you clicked pin video, whoever's talking is this center. If you only wanted to focus on a youth, you would have them in the center, and you're the only one that has a control to do that, and not other team members. Or you could just pin yourself if you wanted yourself to be pinned in the center. A lot like the bounce because it helps all team members feel like they're center and heard. But as a facilitator, if you're seeing that, just make sure you're being mindful of whether or not, because it's also very much easy to see if other people are being interrupted on their thoughts and things of that sort. If they went to speak and you see them for a blip second and then their screen goes away, someone talked the same time as them. So just be mindful to go back to that team member. And I think that that's the main key points about how to use Zoom and the benefits. You can end meeting and end meeting for all. You can also ahead of time prepare for when you use a waiting room. If you wanted to do immediate debriefs, you can talk with the workforce ahead of time, and you can have us prepared to stay and other team members leave. And then even if you wanted to look like we were leaving, you can actually send us in this feature, the managed participants, back to the waiting room. And then when everyone else is gone, you can remove people. So even if somebody had stepped away and the meeting was ending, you could remove them. Because of the waiting room feature, nobody would be able to jump back in. So you could admit the workforce members back into the same meeting room. We could debrief a planning meeting immediately. And then you would be able to do the workforce consultation note, and then we could all leave the meeting. But it would be safe because nobody can jump past, even if you've let them in before. You'd still have to readmit them. And if you were to do that, don't forget to still discuss next steps on our scheduled preps and debriefs day, just to confirm that we're still on the same page. So I think that is the main things. So I will make sure that you get this video. And I'm really comfortable with moving forward with helping out in any way that I can. So don't worry about scheduling for us to go into this together.